Unbreaker plays with microbiology. I found this old juice drink someone left in the fridge. It has a bunch of white, slimy stuff floating in it. I just got a microscope off an Amazon Lightning deal and some agar culture plates. So I think it would be a good first experiment to try out. Before we begin, note that I am not a microbiologist, just a nerd who thinks science is awesome. Let's enter into the office of Unbreaker. Because there is a lot of slow parts, like fumbling with plates and tiny organism movements, I decided to run at 10x speed for most of the remaining video. I have my culture plate, a small test tube, a pipette, a sterile cotton swab, and of course our jar of grossness. I attempt to pipe out some of the slime, however. The viscosity of the slime is deceptive. It acts as more of a solid and made the extraction difficult. As you can see, I end up swabbing a chunk of the slime because it seems to bind together. I do my best to smush it onto the culture and add a bit of the juice so it can eat. I totally forgot I bought gloves, by the way. Now I'm left with something resembling bubblegum. This will be day 1. Day 2 shows some fuzzy white growth. Day 3, the middle is becoming darker in color. Day 4, a sage green color emerges. Day 5, more fuzzy white growth appears. The growth coverage increases on day 6. On day 7, the sample is almost fully green with a pale ring around it. After growing for a full week, I take a sample for microscopy. I use a small sterile tool to extract the sample and transfer it to the glass slide. And hey, I remembered the gloves this time. The proper way to sample would be to dilute the sample in a sterile medium, but I want to explore the larger stuff as well. Plus, I don't really know what I am doing. I place a cover glass over the sample, and the agar gel acts to seal it pretty well. Onto the microscope. Starting off, I use the 4x lens. It pretty much just looks like what was in the culture, just up close. I move to the 25x lens. Here we can really see how alive it is. As I explore, please forgive the jerky movement. I also switch between different color light exposures. It was really surprising how many features this $80 microscope came with. Since I sampled it the way I did, you get to see the cells interacting that are in focus, and also the background and foreground layers of cells moving around. I found that the green filter is probably my favorite. It might be my slight propensity to be attracted toward neon and phosphorescence. But this upcoming shot I captured might as well make it your favorite too. Whoa, it is like a river of microorganisms. I know the camera movement is jerky, but the way the cells are moving around is too amazing not to try and track. This is why microscopy is so cool. You get to see a tiny world existing from an unassuming glass slide that would otherwise go completely unnoticed. Now that we have an idea of the culture as a green felt or dusty-like structure with a pale ring around it, and that appears to be a bunch of eukaryotic cells, cells with a membrane-bound nucleus, I can start a search to identify what it is. If the microscope was more powerful, we may be able to see more defining details like single cell versus multi-cell. This becomes important to define yeast versus mold. Just out of curiosity, I cut a raisin in half to see the growth over the next few days. After a search, I came to 2 candidates. Com yeast explains the white slime in the drink and is found in fermentation, and Penicillium digitatum, a mold commonly found in citrus fruits. Well, the culture looks like the penicillin image with similar color and shape, and without a more powerful microscope we cannot make a definitive determination. So I am labeling it as Penicillium digitatum for now. Again, for curiosity's sake, I'm going to take another culture. I transfer the mold to a new dish with a sterile cotton swab. It is important to note that Penicillium digitatum can have harmful effects to humans with immune deficiencies, and exposure can affect the respiratory system and even be fatal. A mask is recommended. Next, I add a small dab of honey and peanut butter to the new dish. These 2 foods are supposed to be resilient to spoilage. So let's test out whether the mold or resiliency wins over the next few days. Check back to see whether the mold wins and grows over the foods or if the foods fight back against the mold growth. Check us out at Unbreaker.com, on Facebook as Unbreaker page and Unbreaker, Instagram at Unbreaker Group, TikTok Unbreaker 8, and YouTube Unbreaker B1P.